So toasty in here.
Toasty.
There's no
Air
window.
circulation.
No, the window won't open anymore. Like we opened it once, and since then now it just doesn't open, and it doesn't
Did
make
you
any
tell
sense.
your landlord?
Yeah, but they're not really coming out unless it's an emergency kind of thing.
Oh well,
And it's
that
not
makes
an
sense.
emergency to open the window, so
It could be if there was a fire.
exactly. Well, it's on the second floor. I don't think we would have jumped it.
I would if that was my only exit.
If it was the only one, probably. But we have 4 computers in this room, and that's the issue. It's hot in here. But hello.
Hi.
Hello. I woke up from a nap. I woke up, forgot what dimension I was in. You know, the huge.
That's how naps usually go.
And my neck hurts. Like, what the fuck did I do? How's your day been?
Today's been fine.
Nothing crazy?
No, not really. I'm still in my pajamas. It's 2:45 in the afternoon.
This is the one time where I'm not in my pajamas at 2:45 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
But I am in leggings, so it's almost like pajamas. It's like the step right above pajamas.
Yeah, well, no, I sleep in leggings too, so I consider those my pajamas. My leggings are like just
I don't.
pajamas.
I think my leggings are too tight for me to sleep in.
Oh.
them. I will wear pajama pants at night, like really loose ones.
Mm-hmm.
My leggings don't feel comfortable, at least like overnight.
No, I have a pair of leggings that are super comfortable, so that's what they're very soft. Panther Lily, what are you doing, dude?
He hanging out.
I'm gonna send you the video.
What is he doing?
He was like staring at himself in a picture that's not reflective. Anyway, I just sent you the video so you can look at it.
Yeah, whenever my phone decides to. Oh, I can see part of it. Oh, what the fuck? Why is he like face first in that? He's like, this is a nice one. I like this one. And you're like, back up, my guy.
Yeah, really. Ah, jeez. Okay. Well, man, I love him so much.
Cats are so
He's
strange.
just
During
gonna be hanging out
my
with me.
waking up process of the nap, I
Mhm.
felt what I thought it was Eric using his fingers and like the walking motion across my hip, and it was just Wes stepping on me.
Oh yeah.
But he doesn't walk on us like ever. He avoids us. So I don't know why he got on the bed to step on me. And then I tried to hold him and he was like, "Nah, bitch," and he leaped off.
Ah, yes, a cat.
Oh, the phone noise.
I know, I know. It's just gonna
Okay,
be.
what is he doing?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, my guy. I'm just gonna add on our list of like on the website. I have a page that's not active yet because I still need to finish it, and it's just like an about us page. And on the bottom, I have like support staff or like people who support us, and it's like Kay, Eric, Joey, and Brad from Ghost Cats Live. And I'm just gonna add at the bottom Angel's cell phone noises. Because they're just an ever present. Anyway, we were bullshitting for way too long. So, what are your lows and you have a really great high?
I
Don't
do.
you?
Let me start with low and then I'll go to high.
Okay. Yeah.
So I guess my low. I don't really have like a very specific low other than disability shit, and also I miss my friends and I wish I could see them more often because it's becoming more apparent that like I haven't been able to hang out with my friends, and the internet's great and all, but I do miss them, including you and Kay.
Yeah.
But
We have a Christmas present for you in.
oh,
I don't know if you saw that snap earlier.
I did it. The heart that looks like a dick.
No, no. No, I sent another snap. We have like a whole Christmas bag full of goodies for you guys.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I feel bad.
So that means
I'm like,
you'll
I'm
have to
not
come
good
and
at this.
decorate.
Oh,
Okay.
I know what my low is. My phone stopped
Tell me.
working.
Oh yeah, that's
My phone is
bull.
not working. So I'm not receiving text messages. I'm not receiving pictures. I can't send texts. The only thing that works is sometimes I'll go to a location and all of a sudden I get all of them all at once. If I try to
Great.
reply to any of them within a certain time frame, sometimes they send and sometimes they don't.
Oh
Um,
no.
but I received, I guess you guys are still using the normal group chat because I got like 20 plus messages from that group chat all at once while I was at Target
Yeah,
yesterday.
well, that was before I think we realized, and then we sent a couple to the regular group chat today, forgetting that you didn't have texting, so you'll probably get a couple more
Probably.
texts.
But
But
and then I
yeah.
was like, "Oh, let me go to Verizon today to go get a new phone or something." And they're closed.
Oh no.
They're closed on Sundays. So, and if I would
Oh,
have
that's
planned that
weird.
better, I would have gone yesterday, but I didn't think about it. And I also didn't think it would last this long. I thought it was like
Yeah.
some weird fluke and that it would pass, but it hasn't.
Yeah.
So now my phone's basically a glorified Wi-Fi machine. Um, at this point. So it's interesting. I'm gonna try and call them later today to see if they can figure out what's going on and why I'm not receiving cell service.
Yeah,
Because
it
even
could be a
though it
pretty easy
says that I have
fix.
cell service, I can't make calls. I can't get any texts. I can't send texts. I can't send pictures. So we'll see. But I wasn't really focused on that this weekend because yesterday, on December 12th, I set up a very elaborate surprise to propose to my new fiance, Eric.
I'm so excited for you guys.
And he said yes, obviously. It was a very large setup, and he told me he had no idea at all.
Good.
He had no idea.
That's the
And David
point.
helped me, and he got Eric out of the house. And when Eric came back, I said, "Oh, by the way, that painting I've been working on for Christmas, it's not for Christmas, it's for right now." And he was like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Okay, close your eyes, and we're gonna go in the bedroom, and I'm gonna show it to you." And it's command strip to the back of my door. So I walk him into the bedroom. I close his eyes, back him up so he can see the door, but nothing
Mhm.
else.
Mhm.
And he looks at the painting. He's like, "Oh my god, it's so good!" And then he turns around, and there's balloons over my bed that says, "Will you marry me?" And there's balloons all over the room. I have a concession stand set up in the bedroom, and the movie that we were supposed to watch yesterday, and like special alcohol and a bunch of stuff, and like matching PJ pants that I bought him,
That's so cute.
and got down on one knee and I proposed, and now we're engaged. I can send you a picture to post on our website or something,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
yeah, I did that.
Yeah, you did.
I did
Now
that.
you're
That's
an
my high.
engaged
And
lady.
now I'm an engaged lady, and I get to plan a wedding, and it's very exciting. I'm very excited.
Yay!
So
How exciting. I'm very happy for you.
thank you. That's the high. That's probably gonna be the high for quite a while, my guy.
I don't blame you.
Eric was doing that thing where you're like, like John Mulaney thing where he's like, "That's my wife."
Yeah. Yeah.
All day yesterday, he kept doing that. He was like walking around and he was like, "Hey, you're speaking to my wife," instead of the girlfriend thing. I was
That is
dying.
so cute.
And he keeps doing hand poses so that you see his ring.
Oh, sure. That's way
So
too funny. I love
it's
that.
it's a whole thing. Yeah. What are your highs and lows?
For my low, I don't really have, other than what we have already discussed privately, any real lows. I don't have any highs that will out high your high, so I guess I'm just excited because it's almost Christmas time. I
Yeah.
really like Christmas as well, that you know. And oh, I do have a low that I can talk about on the podcast as I'm looking up in my recording area. The cats somehow ripped the curtains off of the wall in the guest room,
What the
but
fuck?
only one bracket is out of the wall. The other bracket is still on the
So it's
wall.
just hanging there?
No, there's no curtain here. I'll show you. I'll send you a picture real quick.
Okay, but they ripped it out.
They ripped it out. So now I gotta fix that. So that's my low, I guess. So they pulled the curtains out of the wall, which fucking of course. And so that's my low, is just I have to put the curtain back up, which is honestly like first world problems, I know, but I guess, that's fine. My high, yeah, I'm just excited for Christmas. I like Christmas a lot, and I'm excited to, on the day this comes out, we have like a manager luncheon at work, so I will get to leave work in the middle of the day for a couple hours to have lunch and a Secret Santa. And
Ooh,
my work best friend is my Secret Santa, which is exciting.
that is exciting.
And then after that, I have 3 days of work, and then I'm off for 4 days, and I'm very excited about it.
Oh, wait, you're off for 4 days?
Not this coming week, but like the week of Christmas, I work 3 days, and then I'm off
Oh,
Eve day,
I don't
Saturday and
think I
Sunday.
think I work Christmas Eve, so we'll see how that goes.
It'll be a slow day.
But I'm thinking of doing a Christmas Animal Crossing party because I didn't get to do one last time for Halloween.
Yes, for
So,
Halloween. Yeah,
yeah.
I'd be down for that. Yeah, for some reason Halloween just like snuck up on us, and
We
now
didn't
it's
have
almost
time. There
Christmas.
was so much going on.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, what do you
Hop-
got for me?
I've got a really good story to tell you today. It's one that you might be at least a little bit aware of, but I am going to tell you about the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
Okay, I do know a little bit about this. Not a
Okay,
lot. I'm
I
ready. Lay
know.
it on me,
So,
baby.
and that's why we did an episode on this back in 2017. It was episode number 22. So
Okay.
I re-listened to M's half of the episode today just to see if like maybe they found something I didn't or anything like that.
And also, they're amazing, beautiful people, and why
I do love
not?
Emma and Christine both. It is scary. Like if you listen to M speak, then you know my wife. It is very weird.
That is true.
They are the same person.
Yeah, that's very true.
Like constantly M talks, and anytime they say something, especially like really iconic, I just look at Kay and she's like, I don't know why you're looking at me. It's not like I would ever actually say something like that. I'm like, yes, you would. And
You
she's
do
like,
all the
yeah.
time. You literally do.
Yeah. So, anyway, so they did that. That was episode number 22. But I'm going to do it now. Just as a little bit of background, the facilities for the mentally ill were not really built or didn't start to get built until the 1770s. So, up until that point, people were just kind of like pretending their mentally ill people didn't exist or killing them, which is very sad. The construction on the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum was happening between 1858 and 1881. It is situated on 300 acres of private land, and the building in length is 1,295 feet. There are 921 windows, 906 doors, and the walls are 2.5 feet thick. That's some fun facts for you.
Ooh, very fun
But
and
we're gonna
facty.
we're gonna hop into a little bit of background and actually talk about the Civil War for a hot minute.
Okay.
It's been a long time since I was looking back at our website, ghoulgaminggals.com, and looking when the last time we talked about paranormal. And it's been, if you count aliens, it's been 6 weeks since we talked about paranormal.
Oh man, we've been
Because,
on a true crime
yeah, we have.
like kick apparently.
Yeah, so I'm actually excited of you doing a paranormal story again. Yes, the Civil War. That's what we're talking about. The tumultuous politics between the North and South were heightened in border states like Virginia. So, on location of this area in the early construction of the TALA, is how I'm going to abbreviate it, things were just as chaotic. Unfortunately, we don't have any specific info. We do. There is some specific information about what happened, but there is a general idea overall. So battles begin to break out in the area in April of 1861 with the bombardment of Fort Sumter. During this time, the southernmost wing of the asylum had been completed, and a basement and foundation for the massive central structure had been excavated and walled in. So it was still just kind of like a husk of a building. So in mid June of 1861, Virginia's secession from the Union essentially ended all work that was not related to the war in the state. So at around 5 o'clock in the morning, on the morning of June 30th, 1861, the people of Weston, which is where this asylum is located, were woken by the sound of drums, fifes, and marching soldiers entering their town. The soldiers were the 7th Ohio Infantry, which had marched all night from Clarksburg, which was about 25 miles north of Weston, and they were commanded by Colonel Erastus Bernard Tyler. What an unfortunate name.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. Erastus.
Erastus. Erastus Bernard Tyler.
Erastus.
My boy E.B. Tyler.
My boy Erastus.
Colonel E.B. Tyler was known to the area because he used to actually buy and sell furs in the area before the war. Like he was not a
He was
militiaman
a
beforehand.
fur man by trade.
Yeah, yeah. So Just a fun fact, not really relevant to the story, but he had ordered his troops to sweep through the town and seize any individuals suspected of Confederate sympathies. However, the real reason for the March on Weston was being carried out by a subordinate of his by the name of Captain List and two armed soldiers, and they made their way to the Weston branch of the Exchange Bank of Virginia. And the bank, that specific branch, was holding around $30,000 in gold, which today is about $865,000.
That's a lot.
And it was deposited into that specific branch by the state government of Virginia because that was the money being used to pay laborers for building the asylum. Tyler's real goal was not necessarily to take over with Stim, but was actually to get the gold out of the bank before it could be returned to Richmond and used to support the Confederate rebellion. Tyler's men were met at the doors of the bank by a man named Robert McClandish, who not only worked at the bank as a banker, but he lived at the bank too on the second floor, which, like, whew, talk about leaving it at home.
Yeah, I would be like, shut the fuck up down there.
Yeah, really. So he tried to blatantly object to the robbery, but of course, in the end, it was you either die or you comply. And so he had to do what he was told. The soldiers removed something close to $27,000 worth of gold, and they literally left just enough in the bank for the bank to pay off its debts, which had been like kept in record books and ledgers at the time. So they like took everything but what the bank needed to pay off its debts, which, like, thanks, I guess. The money was taken to Wheeling, and it would help fund the new state of Virginia, which became what we now know as today as West Virginia in 1863. Now that Tyler had essentially captured Weston, the partially built asylum and the surrounding grounds became known as Camp Tyler, and it actually established Weston as an important military post, which was vital to the control of the roads in the area. So it was actually like a very well strategically placed
Yeah,
area.
nice.
Words are hard. Anyway,
Words are hard.
so, yep. The completed southern wing of the asylum provided as barracks, and the main foundation, that was still like a husk of a building, actually served as a stable, so it worked out. Control of the area would change hands several times during the war. Confederate raids in 1862 and 63 temporarily dislodged the Union troops. In 1864, raiders not only confiscated another $5,287.85 from Mr. McClandish, but would also strip the asylum of all food and clothing intended for its first group of patients. So that was kind of shitty. After the Civil War ended, construction and completion of the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum was actually prioritized. So the war ended and they were like, okay, we really got to finish this building. It's number one priority. And because of that, business boomed as the asylum established itself as a primary economic resource for the town, which meant that Weston did not see any of the post-war depression that many surrounding cities and towns experienced. And it actually continued up until it closed in 1994. It continued to be the main source of like income for the town.
Oh, okay.
So now back to the building itself. We're almost done with history. That's Civil War history out of the way.
That old, good
So
old Silver War
Silver
history. Yep,
War.
that's what I
Got
meant.
it.
Uh-huh. I'm
Sil-
not having a
sil-
stroke with this heat.
oh
Jeez.
my god. It is the largest hand cut stone masonry building in North America and the second largest in the world. The largest in the world being the Moscow Kremlin. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
cool.
That's
The
crazy.
best, I know, the best and most skilled stonemasons from Ireland and Germany were actually brought over to help construct the building. So that's why it's so well designed. It was designed by the
Unlike
renowned
America.
architect.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Are you though? I don't know.
I
Anyway,
don't know. I think like Eric and I had this whole conversation while we were in Savannah saying that like buildings aren't made to look pretty anymore. They're just like blocks. They're like
yeah.
it's a block, put things inside of it. Like
Yeah,
because we
exactly.
were walking around Savannah and these buildings were built in the 17 and 1800s and they're so beautiful and then you can see
Mhm.
which ones are newer because it's just like commercial block like
Yeah. No, I get
but
what you're saying. I
yeah,
do.
that's all. That's my bitterness for today leaking out. It's fine.
So the building was designed by renowned architect Richard Andrews following the general plan laid out by Dr. Thomas Story Kirkbride, who was essentially one of the first doctors Kirkbride was to try to find genuine help and healing for the mentally ill. He is also the founding father of what we now know as the American Psychiatric Association. So that's cool. His ideas were born from and evolved from the famous mental health reformist Dorothy Dix. I don't know if you know about her.
That's an unfortunate name too.
Well, yeah, but it's spelled Dix.
Oh,
So
okay, okay.
at least there's that. She was also a pioneer for debunking and disabusing the misconceptions of mental illness and mentally ill. She was awesome. He had her ideas and implemented them into his practice as well as what his designs were for this building. The plan that Kirkbride envisioned called for long corridors arranged in staggered formations with tall ceilings and large windows, and this was so that sunlight could get to every inch of the building. So that there
Oh,
would be cross breezes for fresh air so that patients could have sunlight.
I like
And at the
that.
time,
Why don't we do
yeah,
that
at the
more?
time it was believed that having these big cross breezes and or these nice cross breezes and the big windows for sunlight was actually therapeutic and helpful for those who were trying to recover from mental illness. This allowed for plenty of space for patients to move around and find their own ways of stimulating their brains with however much or little they were comfortable with. So they weren't like being forced to do more than they were comfortable with, but maybe people who were more mentally sound than others could find more stimulation. And the idea was that this would help them handle their behavior better and they would have more freedom over their own lives. The science here, as a side note, is a little bit unfounded, but his practices would eventually lead to more humane and all around more effective plans and treatments for mentally ill patients. So, Kirkbride is actually a cool guy in my book.
Pretty cool, pretty cool.
The original hospital was designed to hold 250 people, each with their own rooms and spaces, and was open to patients beginning in 1864. The construction on this building would go for another 20 years, but people were starting to move in 1864. However, the road to hell is paved in good intentions, and the hospital embodies that to the letter almost, and I'm about to tell you why.
Woot woot.
So in 1881, so only a couple of years before the hospital finished being built, an increase in mental health diagnoses, as well as a growing negative stigma around mental health, saw an overpopulation of the facility by 3 times the max capacity, with more than 500 patients more than the facility was able to accommodate. As a result, conditions started to go downhill and fast. And I'm going to read to you a couple of things off of a list of reasons that you could be admitted to the asylum.
Oh god. Hysteria.
Yeah, well, that's actually one of the first ones. Hysteria, hereditary predisposition, imaginary female trouble.
Mhm. Mhm.
I still don't know what that means.
Yep.
Um, kicked in the head by a horse.
What?
I don't know why.
Why?
Um,
Can't you just go to the hospital for that?
I guess not. Ill treatment by husband. So if you're being abused, you have to be admitted. That's kind of shitty.
That's not fair.
Masturbation and syphilis. Masturbation for
Wait,
30
is it the
years.
same? Is it the same, like
Masturbation
masturbation
and
and
syphilis.
syphilis, or is
Mm-hmm.
it just
Nope.
masturbation, or just
Masturbation, ampersand, syphilis.
what the fuck?
I don't know. Masturbation for 30 years.
Specifically 30 years?
That's what it says for 30. Tobacco and masturbation.
Huh?
I guess
Man,
if
we'd
either
all
of
be
them.
in this place.
Let's see. Asthma. Goodbye, Janelle.
Wow, I am hurt. I am offended. I'm sorry. Were you not born with asthma? Doesn't it feel good to breathe? Uh,
Carbonic acid gas. I don't know how that's
is that like a
okay.
fart? No, I'm kidding.
I have no idea. Novel reading. You could be put in
Oh, I'm
for
sorry
novel
that
reading.
I'm McEducated.
Hmm. Exposure and hereditary. Exposure and quackery. Exposure in
Huh?
army.
Okay.
Here's another one. Suppressed masturbation.
Suppressed masturbation as
um.
opposed to unsuppressed masturbation.
Yeah, I guess the war. Just the war. We'll
The
put you
war.
in the
The war.
hospital.
That'll do it.
Where's my favorite one? Oh, uterine derangement.
Do you mean a
That's me.
period?
I don't know because there's uterine derangement, but back here there was also menstrual derangement. So I don't know what the difference is.
Isn't that the same thing, I feel like?
I have no idea. Seduction and disappointment. Let's see. Is there anything else? Oh, this is another favorite. Fell from horse in war.
Specifically fell from horse and more.
And then female disease. And there's a whole bunch more. I'll send you the link real quick so you can
That's
look at
funny
them.
though.
But there's a ton of them. But those are just a couple of my highlighted favorites. Those are reasons that you could have been admitted to the asylum. As conditions started to go downhill, patients were 3, sometimes 4 or 5 to a room, and these rooms were really only intended for one person. The farm and dairy compound was only intended to comfortably feed about 300 people, which would have been plenty for the max capacity of 250 plus staffs and then some for a little extra. Because the compound couldn't keep up, patients were suffering from malnutrition, which only worsened their mental state. In 1913, the name changed from the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum to the Weston State Hospital, which was done so in hopes of signaling a change in the way that mental illness was viewed. So they get a silver sticker for trying. By the time the early 1930s hit, which was right at the beginning of the Great Depression, the hospital was running at 6 times max capacity.
Oh my god. They're like, just keep going. No one will notice.
Yeah,
It's fine.
it gets worse. A fire in 1935 devastated and just decimated 4 of the wards where people were living. So then there were less space. It reached its peak in the 1950s with around more than 10 times the amount of patients it was intended for,
What the fuck?
at 2,400 to 2,600 patients in overcrowded, generally poor conditions.
That's terrible.
So at this time, patients were sleeping on the floor or sharing small beds due to lack of furniture, and oftentimes they'd be sleeping in cold rooms or rooms with little ventilation due to no heat or air circulation. Overcrowding and understaffing led to a decrease in the importance of cleanliness and sanitation. The windows were dark and dirty with grime. The wallpaper was peeling, decaying, or ripped off by panicking patients. Dust, dirt, and mold made itself at home in the building, which is also not healthy. Patients who were deemed unruly were caged, strapped, locked away in smaller closets and rooms to make space for, quote, less problematic patients. Other treatments, I again say in quotes, at the time were insulin shock therapy, where patients would be injected with dangerously large amounts of insulin in order to force them into a medically induced coma for days and sometimes weeks at a time. This treatment was used mainly for schizophrenic patients, but also had been used for patients who displayed erratic episodes of mania.
I would also have major episodes of mania if things were molding and I was hot and cold all the time
Yeah,
and
exactly. So, ice cold hydrotherapy was also used, in which ice cold water, obviously, would be poured onto a patient's nose and mouth in order to shock the system. And this was a treatment used almost exclusively for women who were diagnosed with hysteria, because the thought was you
they
could just
were
shock the
essentially
hysteria away.
it was like they were waterboarding these poor
Yeah,
women.
exactly. Aversion therapy to save homosexuals. That's something that's actually still done today, so I'm not going to get into it. Chemical castration, electroshock therapy, bloodletting. All of this was treatments that they would use. So a far cry from the original intent of the building.
Much different than I think they envisioned it go where it was
Yeah.
going.
This building is also where the infamous surgeon Dr. Walter Freeman, aka Ice Pick Lobotomy Guy, set up shop to perform his experimental lobotomies. He did over 200 lobotomies a week and over 4,000 lobotomies over the course of his lifetime.
You know, no wonder these people were nuts. It's like they were getting fucking lobotomies and then
Mm-hmm.
in terrible conditions.
Oh wait, it gets worse. You're gonna.
I'm just gonna get angrier and angrier.
My skin was crawling when I was typing this. So, many times he would leave his previously perfectly healthy patients in a state of permanent cognitive and physical damage because this was the manner in which his lobotomies were performed. Are you ready?
Oh god.
He would use a small, thin, rod like thing, like an ice pick, and insert it into the patient's eye socket. He would use a hammer. He would hit the ice pick with a hammer to sever the connective tissue.
Yeah.
And more often than not, this practice would lead to the death of the patient he was working with, because
Yeah.
obviously. Ugh.
I can't believe lobotomies were still a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen, unfortunately, at this point, so many horror movies
Mm-hmm.
and seen people go through this in horror movies, and I'm like, this happened to real people. This happened to
Yeah.
real fucking people.
Yeah. The hospital didn't actually shut down until 1994, but it was designated as a National Historic Landmark in 1990.
Damn.
Staff was abused by their patients as well. One nurse was found dead 2 months after
After
she
she
had been
died?
killed. Yep.
Oh my
And
god.
she was found in the bottom of a seldom used stairwell. So
They were like, why does it smell so bad in here? And they're like,
yeah, basically. Changes in the treatment of mental illness and the physical deterioration of the facility, coupled with public outcry because of the horrifying practices taking place within, forced its closure in 1994 and was replaced by a newer, better staffed, bigger, state of the art hospital, the William R. Sharp Jr. Hospital, which is a different building, but it's also located in Weston. By the time the building closed down, there were three large graveyards on the property, which many people say that was the only thing that was added to accommodate the growing population of the asylum and not actual space for these people to live.
yeah.
The property was purchased in August of 2007 at an auction by a man named Joseph Jordan and his family. To some backlash and criticism from advocates and activists of the mental health awareness community, the family actually renamed the hospital back to Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum because it had changed to like Weston State Hospital.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
According to a representative of the family, they only did this because that was the original name of it and they're trying to restore it. And so they actually do like historic tours and ghost tours, and the money from those actually goes to the restoration of the building. So that's kind of cool. So let's talk about ghosts. Yeah, that's what we're
Let's talk
here
about the
for.
ghosties.
There's anywhere between 7 to 9 or 10, depending on who you talk to, ghosts who actually live in the building who never left. Rebecca Jordan, she's the operations manager and also the daughter of Joe Jordan, who bought the place, thinks very specifically that there's 7 or 8 ghosts and spirits who live there. A little girl named Lily, who was born in the asylum. A
Oh.
man named Jesse, who died of a heart attack in a bathtub. You can see apparitions of Civil War soldiers. There's a spirit by the name of Jim James there, a couple of teenage boys named Frank and Larry, a patient named Dean who is brutally murdered by his cellmate, or roommates, I guess I should say, and they essentially curb stomped him with his own bed. So,
Damn.
in the room that is said to be haunted by Jim James, he can actually be coaxed into turning on and off flashlights if you offer him cigarettes.
He's like, yeah, give me some Marlboros, man.
Yeah, Becca herself says how one of the first nights that she spent in the asylum, she actually felt him, Jim, I mean, lay a hand on her shoulder and squeeze, which is like,
Yuck,
no.
yuck, yuck, yuck.
Yep. So
I
on
don't
the
got no
first,
cigarettes, man. Stop touching me.
yeah, yeah, really. So on the first floor, there is allegedly a ghost named Ruth who's aggressive towards men, and she was in life, and she still is in death. She'll poke and slap them if they get too close to her.
Me too.
So yikes. Yeah, honestly, same. Full bodied apparitions of patients will just be seen wandering the corridors. People can hear hissing, like somebody's hissing at them, which is absolutely no.
What the fuck?
You can hear the metallic sounds of gurneys being pushed around the halls. If you call out to them to say, hey, there's somebody waiting for you in the lobby, you can actually see somebody leaving one of the rooms and walk towards the main entrance lobby area. So that's kind of
Oh,
weird. The
okay.
second floor is actually known as the Civil War Wing. Yeah, Civil War Wing. That didn't feel right when I said it. But anyway, ghosts of soldiers can be seen crawling around on the floor, like army
Oh,
crawling, which is somehow like way worse to me.
I don't like that. That's really
Me
creepy. I'd
neither.
drop kick somebody.
Yeah, no, there are lights, orbs, unexplained apparitions of soldiers and weapons that you can see just lying around. Like you'd just be walking by and you'd be like, is that a gun? Wait, oh, wait, where'd it go? Like, very weird that, like, even their belongings are just kind of like manifesting themselves. They're on that same floor, on the second floor. You can see there are two patients who committed suicide by hanging themselves off of a shower curtain. And in that room,
Oh.
or a shower curtain rod, I should say, and
Oh,
in
I
that
was like,
room,
that's an interesting new one that I've never encountered.
yeah, in that room, you can see the shadows of their bodies hanging on the wall.
That's terrifying.
Absolutely not. I just got chills saying that. Whew. Even if nobody has said your name aloud, you can still hear your name being called out.
Ew. The
Mm-hmm.
fact that they know.
Yeah. that Dean, the one who was curb stomped by his own bed, that's the floor he lived on, and you can hear him screaming and crying, no, and stop and get off from the room where he died.
That's
And
terrible.
you can also see soldiers charging and running at you.
Oh,
So that's a bad
that
time.
old calming thing.
So on the third floor, these are where most of the isolation shells got it, like a hermit crab.
One of those things.
On the third floor, these are where all the isolation cells were, and there's actually still shackles and chains and leather binds like attached to the floor. In the nurses' quarters, this is also where the nurses' quarters were, like doors will just open and slam shut all on their own. A nurse named Elizabeth can be seen doing clerical work, which, like, poor lady in the afterlife doing paperwork.
Me. Forever.
She, honestly, she can also be seen running between rooms, and some people have walked around the corner just to see her standing there and staring at her,
This
or
feels like
staring at you,
phasmophobia.
which is, oh, yeah, really. So the fourth floor is arguably the most active floor. There's a black mass there called the Creeper, and he just slides around everywhere. He just, like,
He
there's just a
slides.
black mass that slides everywhere,
No,
which
thank
is, like,
you.
absolutely not. There are more isolation cells on this floor where you can hear "Get Out" and "Calm Down" in EVPs. Once somebody had asked, "What are you?" to the Creeper, and in the spirit box, the word demon came back,
Oh,
so that's a
great.
bad time.
Comforting. Right when you're in the
Yeah, no,
thick of things.
exactly. Lily's room, so back to the little girl who was born in the hospital, is up in the fourth floor, and apparently all the other spirits are really protective of her, and even like the people of the living are really protective of her.
Yeah,
She's very friendly.
you don't wanna bring more to that.
Yeah. She's very friendly. She's always willing to play. She likes to play the flashlight game. If you ask her to play with the ball, then sometimes a ball will roll. Sometimes a ball will just randomly roll in your direction sometime later. You can hear her thanking you in EVPs if you leave like a toy or snacks for her.
Aww.
And sometimes people have reported they leave a snack for her and they go back
She's
later
like,
and the
God, I'm
box is,
so hungry and bored.
yeah.
Thank you for the toy.
The sometimes people go back from where they left the snack and the box or the candy wrapper or whatever has been opened or messed with. She is known to remember people who have visited more than once, and tour guides report that she will just walk up and hold their hand while they're giving a tour,
Oh,
which is so
I love
sad.
her.
In other places around that floor, you can hear manic screams. Frank and Larry, the two teenage boys who died in the hospital, and they like to throw light across the room at each other, which is weird.
Throw
Um,
light. That's interesting.
yep. You can hear footsteps of somebody running towards you sometimes, which is
Nope.
absolutely not.
Nope. Nope.
Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Nope. Nope. And my last thing is that sometimes you can smell vomit on that floor, which is disgusting to me, and I
Oh,
would also vomit.
I would say I'd probably puke just from
So
the
that
thought of that.
is the story of the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
Well, thank you for sharing. I will be horrified for many a day.
Good. That was the goal.
I'll probably get through my stuff pretty quickly so that the episode
Okay.
isn't too long. We're just gonna hop right into it. How does that sound?
Sure. Sounds
Um,
like a plan.
so last Thursday was the Game Awards. We did do
Uh,
our predictions. We weren't
so,
really that far off.
no, you weren't.
Let me go over some of them. I'm not going to go over all of them because it'll take 5 billion years, and
Hmm.
no one needs to know every category. If you really care, go look.
Yeah, you can watch the whole
um,
live stream is like 3 hours long. So if you
yeah,
really want to go watch the whole
and
thing,
most of this is just, probably something you've already heard, but
yeah.
to go over it because I want to talk about it. Game of the Year was announced for the Game Awards. It was The Last of Us Part 2. I think we did say that it was most likely going to be The Last of Us or like much
I
not
said The
Doom.
Last of Us or Hades, I think. Mm-hmm.
And Best Game Direction, The Last of Us Part 2 as well. Best
Yeah.
Narrative, The Last of Us Part 2 as well.
Yeah.
And then Best Art Direction was actually Ghost of Tsushima, which I'm not really that surprised about.
No, but that was the one where I was like, even if it's not the winner, Ori and the Will of Wisps will be the winner in
In
my
your
heart.
heart,
So
yeah. And
Yeah.
then best score in music for Miss Music over here, Final
Uh,
Fantasy VII Remake won.
which I
I feel like it could have
I
been
wonder
better.
I wonder if that remake, if like remakes weren't included, if Doom Eternal would have one,
They
because
might have, yeah,
I don't personally.
like Doom in that
Well, no, no,
way.
no, no. No. It's not that I don't like Doom. I don't personally think that remakes should be included in Game of the Year awards
Oh,
because they're
yeah,
remakes.
I believe that as well. Because like, how does that? It shouldn't. Not to that extent.
Yeah.
Like graphics,
Yeah.
sure. Uh,
Sure,
but
sure.
like if they're reusing stuff, it's like okay, that's weird. Like,
Yeah, like that score and music was composed like 20 years ago.
yeah,
That's not
exactly.
2020's music of the year. It's
It's
what
from
was it?
however long
2000
ago.
and yeah, 2000, I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not super
Yeah.
agreeable with that, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Best audio design, The Last of Us Part 2, which I agree too. Pretty great
Mm.
audio. Laura Bailey as Abby did win Best Performance in The Last of Us Part 2, which is awesome.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I said because you were like it was going to be Ashley Johnson and I was like it could be Ashley, but it could be Laura. So,
Super exciting.
yeah.
Some of the other ones we went Best Indie. Hades won.
Of course it did. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Oh,
Games
sorry,
for
go ahead.
Impact was one that we did. We said Tell Me Why or Spiritfarer and
Tell Me Why won.
okay, which I'm not surprised.
So Tell Me Why won.
Best ongoing
Ongoing
was
was No Man's Sky. I think
and then
which I was surprised about. And I remember I was watching the Game Awards when it happened, and the person was drinking something, and he
yeah,
like put it down, and he was like, "I'm really surprised," because I don't even think he realized he was gonna win. Um,
yeah,
I think he was basically like, his speech was very similar to like, "Oh, I shouldn't have won that, but okay."
yeah, yeah. No,
Like
I get it.
he knows. No Man's Sky had so many fucking issues when it came out.
Do you want to know which one I'm most surprised by? I don't understand.
What?
Best Sim Strategy,
I'm
which
looking.
is the
Wait, best
Microsoft Flight
strategy.
Simulator won that one. It's
Oh, what the
about
fuck?
yeah, I don't.
I
And
don't
then what was
know.
it? Oh,
Probably
we
because they
went
could use it for other
yeah.
things, but still, that's weird.
We went on best multiplayer. We said Among Us or Valorant, and I think Among
Among
Us
Us
won.
won.
Yeah, those were all the ones that we talked about on our last episode. But yeah, most of these I'm not surprised about. A little bit disappointed anytime that the remake won anything because I was like, no, this game was out 20 years ago. A remake
Yeah.
shouldn't count. But that
Oh,
is just
best
my
debut
personal
game,
feeling.
Phasmophobia won.
Oh yes, I saw that.
So
Yes, I
that's fucking
did.
awesome. League of Legends won best esports game too. And then the next bit of news I have is there was a new reveal from the Among Us people. There is going to be a new map in early 2021. It's called the Airship. There's a little teaser of it, so I can have it linked for you and everything, but it's super interesting to see.
Yeah, do you have it right now? Can I see it right now?
Yes.
I'll watch it then when we're done then. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
but it's just an airship, which makes sense, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But
yeah,
it
yeah. I
was
get what you're
teased
saying.
last month, and they finally announced that it is coming out. So take a look at it if you play Among Us. The next little piece of news, you can now be Master Chief in Fortnite, which I don't really know if I like that. I love Halo. It's one of my like all-time favorite series. Why
Mm-hmm.
did we put it in Fortnite? Like, and I used to play Fortnite. Like, I have no issues with Fortnite, but like, I just feel like it doesn't belong.
Yeah. No,
It's
I
just
get what you're
odd.
saying.
It's just weird.
I don't I saw that last week when I was doing notes for gaming and I was like, that seems weird. I don't care about this either of these games, so no offense.
It just seemed weird. The next thing that popped up, have you seen the new Mass Effect trailer?
Have I seen the new Mass Effect trailer?
I figured you would have been the first person
I
to see
have
it
been I have rewatched the Mass Effect and the Dragon Age trailers.
multiple times.
Janelle, I have a problem.
I'm excited to see what's going on, but what's the most interesting part is the person who voices Liara didn't even know that this was happening. Did you see that?
I heard about that, but I wasn't sure how accurate that
Well,
was.
she tweeted it herself, like on her Twitter.
Oh.
Someone had commented saying like, "Oh, it's awesome seeing you get back into this role. There is no shepherd without Liara," and she just said, "It's all news to me." So I don't think she was
Oh.
actually looped in on this. I'm sure she would
Yeah.
be more than willing to do it, but still, like,
I love Allie Hillis, so
yeah, I think it's just interesting that they didn't tell her like, "Hey, by the way, we want to maybe do another Mass Effect like that, stars you crazy." Um,
yeah.
because imagine finding out this way. That's so sad. Same
Oh,
thing with
jeez.
I found out this thing. This is unrelated to gaming or anything, but
Mhm.
Matthew Lillard, the guy
Mhm.
in 13 Ghosts, and he plays
Yep.
Scooby Doo,
Yep.
or not Scooby, he plays Shaggy.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
anyways, when they made Scooby, or whatever that fucking new Scooby Doo movie that came out
Mhm.
was, he was not in it, and he's been the only Shaggy for the past like 20 something years, and they made just that one because he still voices all the cartoon stuff too. Just
Yeah.
that one didn't have him in it, so when they announced it, he also found it on the internet, and everyone was like, "Oh, really surprised you're not in this movie?" And he was like, "Yeah, me too. They didn't tell me." And I'm just thinking, I'm like,
Wow.
please communicate with the people that you do stuff with, because I feel like then you're fucking over any future relationship with that person.
Yeah,
An
really.
actor, like, what if she didn't want to fucking do it? But like, imagine finding out that way on like fucking Twitter, or like I would be livid. Like, how would you feel? And then not only that, but then you're fucking up this future relationship with this person. What if
Yeah,
she says
exactly.
no? Then
Yeah.
people are going to be pissed off because you pissed her off, and then they're going to have to find someone that sounds like her. Like, what a dumb. I'm reading
It
too
is
far into
my
it, but
it is my deepest hope that Allie Hillis does reprise her role as Liara.
I'm sure she will.
However, it is also my a little bit less deep but still deep hope that if she does not, they find somebody who sounds more like Liara than the person in the Harry Potter train ride does sound like
Like
Emma Watson.
Hermione. She sounds
Holy
so
shit.
terrible, dude.
She
They were like, any British
holy
person's
shit.
good.
Yeah,
Any
man.
female British person, and it's like, no,
It was
no.
bad. It
Even
was
find
bad.
someone that at least like can imitate her voice a little bit. It,
Yeah.
it was
No, they
if you
didn't
don't
even
know what we're
try.
talking about, please look it up.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's so bad.
If you're a Harry Potter fan and you've never been on the train, please look it up and a video of it, because you'll be like, wait, what? Who is that?
You'll be so cringed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then one of the next things that I have, obviously, Cyberpunk 2077 came out. I have not played it, but Eric has been playing it.
I was going to play it, but I'm kind of waiting to see if somebody gets it for me for Christmas before I
I would
actually
wait.
buy it
Yeah, I would
myself.
wait. But
Yeah.
apparently Jalen bought it for himself, but he's been too busy for a while, so he actually gifted it to Eric. Um,
Oh, okay.
so Eric had played it all weekend. He played Thursday. He stayed up till 3 a.m. playing it, and I was just dead ass asleep. And he came back to me on Friday, and he was like, "Look at my cyberpunk character." He's like, "Look how big his dick is," and I was like, "I hate you."
Oh, I forgot about customizable
Yeah,
genitals.
he told me about that. He was like, "Oh, you can customize your genitals," and the first thing I said to him was, "Do you not listen to my podcast?" And he went, because I know we talked about it. I literally talked about it, and he was just like, "Not always." It was the
Wow.
funniest fucking thing.
Wow, he's
Um,
being removed
he
from our
lives with
support
me.
staff.
He doesn't need to listen to me all the
That's
time.
fair.
Yeah,
That's
and
fair.
also
That's
he
fair.
edits some of the episodes. So,
Okay, that's fair.
but anyway,
All right, he's on thin
he's
ice,
on
but he's
thin.
still on the
He's on
support
the
staff.
thinnest of ice.
Yeah.
That's my wife. No, so that's my future fiance. No, wait, no, he is my fiance. That's my future husband, and he's on thin
Nice.
ice. Um, so basically, the biggest things that I've noticed about Cyberpunk since it came out is the unmistakable, like, there is so much memes already about how buggy and glitchy it is.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we'll see what happens with that. Just be on TikTok or fucking
Is it
Facebook,
still is it
or
only first person? Is that still the case?
I think so. Yeah.
That drives me nuts. I get barfy when I play
Me
exclusively
too.
first person games. So I'm like I thought for some reason in my head I had convinced myself that they had
third person.
They had made it so you could play it third person or first
I think it
person,
goes in third person at times, but I believe it's mostly just first person, which
which is
kind of
so
sucks.
upsetting. I'm very excited to play it, but I get so barfy so fast.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I get really gross too. Like I can't play like I can't even do VR stuff either. Like I've tried VR a couple times and each time I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I'm gonna puke."
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
so, other than that, everyone has been receiving it pretty well, other than the glitches and bugs and stuff. But I think a lot of it was the fact that they wanted to release the game now because they had already delayed it so much.
Mhm.
But after 8 years of development, they finally, released it,
Watch
and
the game, yeah.
it's really interesting to see like how the analytics are for this. CD Projekt Red did announce earlier this month, which I did touch on, I think last week, that
Yeah.
Cyberpunk,
No, the week
or the
before
week
it made more
before,
money.
yeah,
Yeah.
Cyberpunk 2077 were significantly higher than The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and they nailed that down to roughly 8 million pre orders, making it the biggest PC launch in history,
Wow.
which is insane. There's actually 1 million concurrent players on Steam when it launched, so that was setting a new record for a single player game. So there was that many people that hopped on all at once, and the big question was CD Projekt Red did announce that they exceeded $50 million in revenue on the Steam platform over 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
And the company, this is a huge deal. Like they made so much fucking money off this game and they finally made profit off of it, which was the big thing. Like you're working on something for so long, you're no longer
Yeah.
profiting.
Yeah, basically.
They haven't publicly announced their figures. Their quarter 3 in 2020 earnings presentation cited that at the start of 2018 was about 111 million, and the studio also said through its investor relations Twitter account that the revenues from Steam alone surpassed 50 million more than 2 weeks prior to release. So I can't imagine
Wow.
how it is now,
Yeah, really.
but good for them. And I think
Indeed.
the only the last thing I had was that Steam has hit their highest user high at 24.7 million. So that's with the new games, the lockdowns, it's all making people play Steam more than ever. It's
Mhm.
insane seeing people really sitting down to play games. I mean, that's better than being outside right now, and people are
It
like,
is.
I didn't tell you this. I went to the chiropractor and there was this fucking chiropractor who she asked me what I did for work. When I told her I used to work with prospective people that were into video games, she
Mhm.
literally like flipped out on me and she's like, "Well, it's not like video games are ruining our fucking culture." And I was like, "Whoa!" It was insane. I was
What
like,
the
"Who
fuck?
hurt you?" Number
Yeah,
one,
really.
who hurt you? And all I could think about was that she has like a 30-year-old son in her basement. But she flipped out
What
on me.
the
She
fuck?
absolutely
Yeah.
flipped out on me, and then I didn't know what to say because I wasn't gonna correct her. I was just like, yeah," because like it's weird. It's a
Yeah,
weird
like
thing
what
to
do you
say to
say in that
somebody.
situation?
I'm like, look at me. Do I look like I don't play video games? Like, what do you like? I was so confused. And then she did go into this whole rant about it, and it was very awkward. But I'm like thinking, like, it's way better to be home right now. Why
Mhm.
not play video games? Like, if this, pandemic happened at any other point, it would have been boring. But we're in a place where, like, I can FaceTime you. Well, not
Yeah,
now because my
exactly.
phone sucks, but like,
Right. But in
I can
general.
FaceTime you. I can Skype you. I can, message you. I can Snapchat you. I have ways of connecting with people that I never could before. Why not play video games? It's so cheap. Like you pay
Yeah.
$60 and that's what people used to spend on a club, in a club for one night.
Mhm.
So why
Mhm.
not?
No,
It's
I
kind
get
of
what you're saying. I was gonna say my chiropractor, because we were on the phone. My chiropractor came in last week
Oh
to
yeah.
crackle my back, and he was like, "Oh, who's that?" And I was like, "Oh, she's one of my best friends. She's really excited. She's fixing to propose to her boyfriend." And he was like, "Wait, she's proposing to him?" And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah. And he was like, and he just like went into this rant like, well, there are just some things that I just feel like it should just only be the men. I'm all about like equality between the two of us, but just because we're equal doesn't mean that we're not different and this, that, and the other thing. And I was like,
Oh my god, that is the most like A
I
backwards
was
way of thinking I've ever heard.
like, bro, it's not that big a
It's
deal.
him
He's
basically being
probably
like, "We're equal, but we're not equal." Do you know what I mean? And you're like,
like
"No."
he was like, we're equal but different. And I was like, I'm not I don't I was literally like, I
We're
have no idea
equal,
what to
but we're
say
different.
about
You're like, "Sir, no, we're not."
that.
Yeah, we're
He was
different because I'm not an asshole and you are.
yeah, it was very weird. I like my chiropractor though for the most part, but that just like threw
You
me
were
off.
just like,
Like
"Wow, where did this
it
come from?"
threw me off. I had no idea what to say. So that's what happened. Yeah.
I'm glad that we both had really uncomfortable chiropractor experiences. And what's funny was Eric went to the same chiropractor. Like, she never is there. I never go on Fridays.
Mhm.
So she was there when Eric went. I was still at work when he went because he got off work
Mhm.
early on Friday.
Mhm.
And he was like, "Yeah, come by. It's really busy, but by the time you get here, it shouldn't." So when I got
Okay.
there, she's doing her thing. She's like, "Do you want me to do, or do you want Doctor Insert name here, the other chiropractor?" And I was like,
Yeah,
"Well,
yeah,
I've
yeah.
only had you once, and it was months ago. Let's do you again, because I don't know, change it up. Some chiropractors are more thorough than others."
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I remember her being very thorough. She was the type of person that I remember last year, the last time I saw her, I had sandals on, and I'm very insecure about my feet because I have sweaty ass feet, and they don't smell, they're just sweaty,
Mhm. Mhm.
and they're cold but clammy. So she is wearing sandals, and I remember her being like, "Okay, now I'm gonna do your feet," and I was like, "Do not touch my feet because one, I'm ticklish on my feet, and two, they're sweaty. Do not touch them." And it's Florida, they're sweaty, and she did it anyway. She totally was cracking my toes, and it felt amazing, but it was kind of terrifying how deep she got in between my fucking toes, dude. I was so
Listen,
grossed out.
if it brings you any consolation or comfort into the situation, like most of the time people who see a chiropractor are not our age because we are too young to be having the
Yeah,
old people problems that we have. So, and I know from personal experience that old people feet
they're bad.
are way worse than whatever kind of insecurity you have.
I know, it's more
And
of
I
just like, I don't
and
like people touching my feet, like,
not
not
to
even.
invalidate
No, you're
your
fine. It's more of just
I
like,
because I'm not.
I don't like people touching. I don't even like when Eric touches my feet. Like, it's a like a
I get it.
yeah. I'm like I,
No, I get what you're saying.
but it's weird.
I don't want to come across like I'm invalidating
No, you're fine.
your
But I
insecurities because I'm
remember
not,
this.
but I just want you to know that I'm sure she doesn't think anything of your feet
No, she
because
didn't
she's
think
seen way
anything of it at
grosser.
all. She absolutely didn't. And I'm sure my feet were probably the cleanest feet she touched all day. But it was just terrifying because I was like, damn, she really got in them toes. But I remember that experience and I was like, oh, she's really thorough. That's why I picked her again. And I really shouldn't have because she was
Oh, that was
very
awkward.
aggressive with me. And at one point, well, okay, one, I'm wearing a skirt, which was
Hmm.
a bad idea on my part, but that was the only time that I could go to the chiropractor. I was wearing leggings under the skirt, so it wasn't a big deal.
Right.
So she decides to stretch my like legs out. So she like
Uh huh.
holds my hip. She leans forward on my like the back of my thigh to stretch it out. And she's like, "Wow, are your legs always this tight?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "This isn't very far." And she's like dissing me because I'm not flexible. She's like,
Wow.
you need to do something about this. How old are you?" And I was like, "I'm 24." She's like, "This is unacceptable." And I was like, "Oh my god, I didn't come here to get bullied."
Yeah.
It was so
Oh
mean.
my god.
But she was also stretching too far. Like I looked her dead in her eyes in the windows of her soul, and I said, "That hurts." And she went farther. Like she literally
That's
was
so rude.
stretching so hard that my other hip wasn't on the table anymore. Like
Okay,
that's not
Janelle.
how stretches work anymore.
Pro tip from one broken back person to another: do not see her again.
Well, I haven't seen her in over a year. But yeah, she literally was overstretching my leg to the point where it felt like my hamstring was gonna pop. And I told her that it hurt and she kept going. And then my other leg wasn't even touching the table anymore. And I'm like, this isn't a proper stretch anymore.
Yeah, really.
Your other hip is supposed to be touching the table. And also, I already have a fusion in my hips. I can't stretch
Yeah.
farther. So,
Yeah.
and she did
Yeah.
that to both legs. And when I got home, I told Eric, I was like, this was a weird experience I had at the chiropractor. And he was like, "Did she break you too?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then he was like, "Man, she was all up in my groin with her hands trying to stretch my legs out." And I was like, "Are you okay?" And he was like, "She's lucky I'm flexible." She literally pulled his leg all the way back to his fucking head. I was like, "Oh my
Oh my
god."
god.
Yeah, like this lady was not giving in, but she like lectured me for, I'm not kidding, 5 minutes because I wasn't flexible. And I'm like, "Ma'am, I'm disabled.
You're like, what do you want from me?
I can't make it better." She's like, "You should really do like yoga or something." I'm like, "I'm trying."
Okay, well maybe don't
Anyways,
see her again.
um, you're
Well,
welcome,
that was a
guys,
fun
for
tangent.
that chiropractor tangent. Don't let someone do that to you. I'm just so non-confrontational that I let this woman break me in half. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Let's not do that again.
anyways, thank you for listening to us, and
You can find us on our social media: Instagram, ghoulgaminggals.podcast. Twitter is ghoulgaminggals. You can reach out to us at our email at ghoulgaminggals@gmail.com. We have a central hub of all things Triple G, which is ghoulgaminggals.com. If you can, please leave us a 5-star on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get podcasts to help boost our show so that we can be more seen and more noticed. That would be great. And if you really feel like helping us out a little bit further, you can donate $5 to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/ghoulgaminggals. Janelle's got a Twitch, and it is Janelle Nelly. I have a Twitch. It's Ariam Makila. And what am I missing?
I think that's it.
I should
Welcome.
write this down and just like have it on the wall for when
Yes,
we record.
always. And that's about it. And we'll see you in the next one. I think the next episode that is going to be heard as the Christmas
The Christmas
episode.
episode.
So, yeah,
It is going to be a good one, so
it is
stay
going to
tuned.
be a goodin, a goodin,
A goodin.
a goodin. So enjoy your weekend, everybody, and have a great rest of your day. See ya for
Hot
Christmas.
tamales. Have a
Hot,
good
hot
weekend.
tamale.
Bye.
Bye.